Hello and welcome back to the Minetrek.net game server. Today is March 14th, I believe, and this is an update for the version 2 and version 3 of the Enterprise D build. Currently on the version 2 ship, and I'm pretty happy to say that progression is going quite nicely on her. This will be the second time I recorded my intro, my previous intro, which I recorded the audio. I had my microphone off. Whoops, see say. But yeah, we're doing pretty good on this one. We're moving forward on going ahead and starting work on deck. I guess this is deck 1B, so this will be deck 2A. Putting in the walls and things like that, and hopefully in the next couple of days or so. Maybe not. We won't know yet. We might actually have deck 2 over here mirrored like we have over. I believe it's been done already on, or may not have been done yet on this version 3. I'm not sure yet. I haven't been over there in a while, but we'll get to it in just a second in the other part of this video. But anyways, going through here, columns have been placed, and hopefully they're all in the right spot. I will double check. I believe the column thingamajiggy got moved, so let's go see here real quick. Fly me forward, come on. Fly me forward, fly forward. Yeah, this got moved, but it appears to be in line, so we should be okay. That was one of my concerns. Yeah, so all in all, doing pretty good. Hopefully we'll get the lifeboats in here, the rest of the walls up, fill in some of this background detail. At least, you know, here's a working part of the rooms. Got a nice big living space, got a nice big room here, like bedroom, and then you got a little private bathroom. So, looking pretty good, looking pretty good, looking pretty good. So, yeah, I'm going to clear that. I did that once and turned a whole bunch of stuff into wool. We doesn't like me. Now, I don't know if this will be the actual interior wall we're going to use. I think it is for the DV2, D version 2, which is the Ed Whitefire adaptation of the Enterprise D build. And the DV3 is the Rick Steinbach adaptation build. So we're taking elements from those deck plans and basically customizing them and sort of integrating them a little bit here and there with each other so that we get wholly unique and what we hope to be more accurate deck plans of the ship for what we want. So that's our game plan anyways. It'll be interesting to see how it all comes together. So, yeah. Yeah, looking good. What in God's name is that for? It's a big key. It's a key. It's a key. I'm sure this has been here for only a few days, and those who put it there will know the truth about this video. Mm-hmm. 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 Well, I'll be right back. Yeah, she's a beautiful build. Hopefully one day we can finish her. But most of our efforts now going to be focused here on the Steinbach build. As you can see, quite a bit of it's come together. I am now currently working on deck 8 here, which is pretty much just a blank slate. I need to get these decks in order to implement what we want to do here. We want to implement some design features from the Whitefire plans into the Steinbach plans, that being a grotto. But before we can put the grotto in, I've got to actually have the decks in so that I know where I can place the grotto. And most likely the grotto is going to go in this area right here, these big areas right through here and stuff. And all this through here, that's why I've been working on setting up turbolift, alternative turbolift routes and things like that. So you can see it up here. It comes down through there, then to here, and it'll step forward, and so on and so forth. It'll probably be a close match to the type of grotto that is in the Whitefire plans. Just haven't got that far yet, but when we get there, it'll be in there. But I have to have a basis to work from, so what I do is I mock up the the Steinbach plans as closely as I can to what we have here, and that gives me a basis to work from. And since all the decks, all the way down at least through deck 10, are uniform and I can then make changes, and the changes, I can see how it affects each deck at the time that I make the change, instead of, I'm grotto now, and then put this deck in and have to fit the grotto in around stuff, and then come down here and do the same thing with this deck, then deck 9, and then deck 10. It's just easier to put all the decks in and then make such a major change like that at one time, so that I can see how everything's affected and adjust for it at that point. If I got to move a turbo lift, then I can move a turbo lift. I got to move Jeffrey's tube, then I can move Jeffrey's tube. But I want them all in, so I have. And that's the logic behind the build process. And again, that process will follow its way all the way through the ship here, and all the way down through whatever deck down here is, and then we'll go back through and we'll revisit it. Expanding areas or adding additional areas, removing stuff we don't like, adding stuff we do want, things like that. Anyways, I've been working on the Battle Bridge deck, or deck 8 of the overall ship, but deck 1 of the secondary hull. And as you can see here, it's kind of I matched the plans as well as I could, but from a design point, none of us really like to look back here and see 2 turbo lifts. So we're thinking, well, it was actually iPanic's broached the suggestion that we adjust one of the turbo lifts. So we can't, because they're actually, the way they feed through the hull is the best way we could formulate them through the hull. So he was suggesting moving like the battle bridge to this side, and then they would just step off the battle bridge onto the bridge proper, which actually is a pretty good idea, because you don't want people accidentally going into the battle bridge turbo lift when they need to be going into the turbo lift proper. So, yeah. We could even actually, if we wanted to, we could even move the turbo lift, because we have the room here, but we already have so many elbow turns and twists that I'm thinking maybe just best just do what iPanic suggested and just have it exit to the side here, which is actually pretty darn good idea. But anyways, I gotta slow down here. I'm set to high speed. I tried to keep the bridge as rounded as possible given the space I have. Again, there's some room for adjustment. Obviously, with this much real estate here, it could be adjusted, but it has a good look to it. And I'm mainly looking at the map itself. It's more of a mushroom sort of shape than a rounded shape. But then again, I kind of use this right up here as the pattern for it. And yeah, you know what it is. This is like a Jeffrey's tube area. This is where the lines from the forward section of the primary hull meet down to the secondary hull, and they'll go down, and eventually they'll work their way back and then down below to engineering. Depends on how those get routed as to where they're going to be, whether it's going to be a straight line down or if it's going to be a split trunk line down. I don't know yet. But we haven't got that far. We'll figure it out when we get down there. Anyways, I tried to follow the deck plan as well as I could while keeping a lot of the stuff open. Now, I'm not a fan of this. These little rooms, these little short emergency lockers along here. I'd rather just go ahead and make one big room here, another room here. This is a conference room. So I'm thinking after M looks at it and iPanic has a chance to put some time down here and look at things, we might just actually make these into solid rooms. Leave the emergency lockers here, of course. There's a bathroom up there, but convert these into like offices or something else. And down here, I'm torn. I'm not sure what I want to do here. I'm thinking I might close this off and actually put the line it up for the center of the ship and have a center corridor, one center corridor going here instead of having a split like this. Again, that's something I'll have to ask the guys what they want to do, because it basically looks like a big donut. Like, here's the big donut. I'm not a fan of a donut corridor system. I'd rather just have one corridor going down the center of the ship and then branching off to go wherever it goes. And this one here actually is go to this side over here, the port side. Excuse me, starboard side. It feeds around here like this. Another bathroom, most likely like an EPS locker, a little lounge area, a little room in here. This, I'm not sure yet where we're going to probably end up putting it, but I want to have probably like a medical first aid station on this side and then an armory on this one over here. And then these would be most likely ship systems and things like that, dealing with sensors and stuff that's above us. But it comes around here like this, and then it goes into the airlock. This will all be set up for an airlock system. So don't mind this corridor being here right now. It's just there for mock-up. And we come back here like this, and then of course it goes back around to the port side with a turbo lift access, right? Yeah. And this actually will go down into the ship. I'm pretty sure that's where the plans are for it. Again, everything's subject to change, so we will see. And I got a little Jeffrey's tube here. My intent was to have a Jeffrey's tube access onto the bridge. Then again, it may not work out that way because it really depends on how the bridge gets laid out. And actually, I need to fix this real quick. That shouldn't be that far back like that. So, because we have to, if there are going to be consoles here, that has to have something like that in the back behind the console. So I need to adjust that. So I did. There we go. Then again, black means this is an area that currently has no use. Some of the ship you might see gray along the outer edge of the hull. Well, that's the same thing as the black. It just means it's a null space. It's an area that we can't use. Black usually just means that it's just an area that's, can be used, but we're not sure what we're going to use it for yet. And then it burns around here, goes out there, and you get a little turbolift parking, and then it goes back to this way here. At some point, I think it's along here, it actually goes down into the secondary hull, the core of it. I also have a turbolift over here. This is part of the Whitefire lift. This is something out of the Whitefire plans itself. And it's this turbolift right here that goes up into the ship here. And then along this side, as you can see, it just moves through deck 7 here. And then to here, and it joins up to deck 6 here and zips along here like so. And at this point, it'll join this turbolift system, and then it routes throughout the rest of the ship through here. This most likely will go up at this point, would join up here. I just haven't set it up yet. We'll figure all that stuff out later on, but anyways, once it gets up in there, it works its way around the rest of the ship. Or actually, I can do it here too. We'll just see what we can do. And it comes into here and runs along this turbolift system. And at any point, I mean, obviously, look at these. This is really an interesting feature that I like about the Steinbach plans. Are these, I guess you would call them tandem turbolifts. So as one's inbound, one can, like a rail system, slide off to the side and use this one while the other one goes by. And then, of course, same thing through here, which is, it leads off into the core of the ship. And it's really interesting how the turbolifts all sort of play out and interlink with each other. It's a very complicated system, and it's kind of interesting to see it all come together, especially when you mirror it and you have a chance to try and path it and stuff. It can get confusing. To say the least, it can get really confusing at times. But overall, given the way it works pretty good. Everything's interlocked. Everything tracks to where it needs to track to. And you can use it to pretty much do what you need to do and go where you need to go and so on and so forth. And explore where you need to explore and stuff. Now, I'm pretty sure this does link. I remember doing this on a video recently, trying to figure out how to get to, yeah, here it is. Derp. You have to go down, not up. And then it gets into the core systems here, and then from here it goes up to the bridge. So yeah, it all interlinks. It's pretty cool. This is another lift from the Whitefire plans, the central core here for the stairwell. And we're going to have a lot of the Whitefire plans implemented in this build, so it's definitely going to be a hybrid of the two ships. And I think it's going to be one that everyone will be proud of, and at least I'm hoping everyone will be proud of. It would be a real treat to have this done by the end of the year, but I don't think it's going to be. It's probably going to be a year to 2 years out for this project, given its size and the fact that we still have the Enterprise E as an open project too. But my main concern at this point moving forward is window placement. I really am skeptical about going forward as far as setting some of the decks up, because I really got to have a clear outline of where some of the windows go. That being said, I mean, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I was looking at what my cat was doing. But I have to have the windows set so that I know, yes, this is a room, the windows are placed correctly for this room, so I can set this room up with walls and everything else. Same thing down through here. Windows say go here, then I know this is an area that has to accommodate windows, and this area doesn't. But if there's like 30 windows through here, I don't know how I would set it up for like crew quarters, which is what this area here is. Now, granted, since the ship is a little bit larger than the deck plans, we end up with a little extra space, and some of this extra space will obviously be converted into crew quarters. Now, any area that I couldn't put, that I knew windows were going to go, but I couldn't really figure out where they would go, I just sort of kind of left open like this, with the intent to come back through and set these up as crew quarters once the windows, or at least the window markers, are placed. Kind of like with the, with the escape pods. Once we knew where the escape pods go, and we could put the escape pods in and put the hatches in, which is what iPanic did here. He went ahead and put all these hatches in, so that we knew the area we had to work around and stuff. And the same thing with the windows. Got to have them in so we know what to work around and what not to work around. For example, there might be a window directly above us. Well, or a window that intersects this line right here, down here, where it's only one block high. Well, what good is that going to do? I mean, say the window kind of goes through here, so it's going to affect this block, and that block. Well, that's just no good. It won't work, period. Um, it can't work. So we'd have to either move the window back or move the window forward and then have it go down through the hall or down through the floor into the next room below it. So that's why I need the windows in. As you can see, the layout for this, let me go ahead and see if I can zoom the map out a little bit here. There we go. And we'll work our way back. Which key is it? There it is. As you can see, the layout is pretty nice. I mean, there is some little areas and stuff where it doesn't look as good as it could, but again, that's related to Minecraft. That's not related to what we're doing. That's strictly a Minecraft. Round halls, square blocks. We just can't get around it. So, but yeah, it's coming together, and I'm pretty excited. I don't know who's going to actually work on the deck 8, because that's the deck where the impulse engines start. I do hope we get somebody that really is into engines that wants to set those up. I think that'll be a good project for somebody like Phobes, or perhaps even iPanic, depending on who has the time and who really wants to work on it. Blue is probably going to be pretty discouraged the fact that we're going to shelve the Whitefire version for right now and focus on the Steinbach version. But rest assured, it's not going to go anywhere. It's well, the ship itself might get moved on the map or even removed from the map, but we'll still have it in archives, and at some point we'll probably go back to it. At least Tim and I will. I don't know about anybody else. I would hope. Oops, darn it! I got to make sure I have the right tool selected. That in the future, it's one of those projects we can finish. I do have a couple of personal projects I'd like to work on, but I don't want to work on them at the expense of. Actually, I like entering it from this side. It doesn't really matter where we enter it from, so we'll do it from this side. Yeah, and then I'll close this side off. But yeah, again, tangent. I lost my train of thought. It's just one of those things. I don't want to leave it unfinished, especially since how well it has come together for me. I would really love to. Just for the sake of my own sanity, prove that I could do a Whitefire version or a variant of the Whitefire version. Those are the plans that the original D is based off of. And if you've been over with the original D, it's a pretty impressive build, but it has significant flaws that really are related more or less to Minecraft and the way that things are designed and imported into Minecraft. Which is not to say that it's bad. It's just the way they had to do it back then. And yeah, it has issues, and same issues that we face now, but we're better at dealing with them now than we were back then. So, and I wasn't ever actually a part of the original build, although I did do a significant amount of work on the original build post Halcoon era. So, but anytime soon. Anyways, guys, I do appreciate you taking time to watch. Again, this is the Minetrek.net game server. If you'd hit that like button for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. If you'd also like us on Facebook, that'd be greatly appreciated. Please, if you'd like to donate to the server, click the GoFundMe link in the description below and help him get the server up and running. Y'all have a wonderful day now, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.